Okay, good evening to all. Today we solve some problem. Okay, so we solve both linear algebra and then algebra problem. Okay, so maybe I write the problem now. So the first problem. Suppose what is the question? The number of elements in S5 which have a own inverse. So the number of elements in the symmetric group on 5 symbols, that is S5. Okay, the symmetric group on 5 symbols which are their own inverse, which are their own inverses equals inverses is equal to. So how many elements their inverse equal to itself? Equals. So that is the question. So actually, simply I'm restate the question is nothing but we are collecting the permutation sigma in S5. What is the condition? Sigma should be equal to the inverse, their inverse, sigma inverse. So what is the cardinality of this set? So that is a question. Sometimes they ask the question like that. Suppose they define this is equal to some set A equal to collection of all permutation such that sigma equal to sigma inverse. Then what is the cardinality of A? Sometimes they will ask what is the cardinality of A. Sometimes actually the identity permutation E is always satisfied E equal to E inverse, because E inverse is nothing but E. So sometimes they call asking that what is the number of non-identity element in the set. Okay, so carefully you have to understand the question. They asking just asking the cardinality, or they asking what is the number of non-identity element. Therefore, you have to don't consider this identity element in the counting. Okay, suppose just they asking what is the number of elements which they have own inverse, then you have to include or count the identity element also. Okay, now we have to find the number of permutation satisfy that sigma equal to sigma inverse. So that means what? So sigma equal to sigma inverse. We need sigma equal to sigma inverse. Now multiply sigma both side, we get sigma square equal to sigma into sigma inverse, we get identity. So that is sigma square equal to identity. So we have to collect a permutation such that the square equal to identity. That means the order is 2. So otherwise, order of sigma divides 2. So we don't know the sigma, this 2 is the smallest number or not, but sigma square equal to identity means what? Order of sigma divides 2, but we know that the divisors of 2 are either 1 or 2. So what is the only possible? The order 1 is identity permutation. Therefore, this set contains identity permutation. And then order 2 element. So we know that what is the order of the permutation? We have to write the permutation is the product of disjoint cycles and then take the LCM of the length. That is the order of the permutation. Now, if you take any 2 cycle, the order is always 2. Why? Suppose if you take, so we are using only 5 symbols, therefore 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are in S5, therefore we use only the 5 symbols, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what are the possible permutation of length 2? So suppose I am taking 1, 2. So that is 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 1. This is a 1 permutation. The order of the permutation is 2. Why? Because length is 2, therefore order is 2. Therefore, this is a 1 element. So, and then you take 1, 3. So this permutation of length 2, therefore order is 2. Therefore, this also satisfies this condition sigma equal to sigma. So we have to find the number of permutations satisfying this condition. It is enough to find that number of permutation of order 2. Okay. So therefore, this 1, 3 and then 1, 4 and then 1, 5. So these are all permutation whose length is 2, therefore order is 2. And then you can fix 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. And then 3, 4, that is 3, 4 or 3, 4, and then 3, 5, and then last one is 4, 5. So these are all length 2 permutation. So, and then order is 2. Now, not only this permutation, we have another permutations whose order is always 2. So what is the permutation? If you take the product of 2 cycles, suppose I am taking 1, 2 into 1, don't take 1, 3, because if you take 1, 3, we cannot take the LCM of these two lengths. So length of this is 2, length of this is 2. We cannot take the LCM of these two. Why? Because these two permutations should be a distinct permutation. That means what? There is no elements common between these two permutations, but one is common. Therefore, you got to take two distinct transposition of length 2. So therefore, if you take 1, 2, suppose I am taking 1, 2 is a 1 permutation. Now, what is the remaining things I am not using? 3, 4 I am not using. Therefore, 1, 2 into 3, 4. This is a 1 permutation, product of 2 permutation, but there is no element in common. So therefore, length of this is 2, length of this is 2. Therefore, suppose I am taking sigma equal to the permutation 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 1, 3 goes to 4, 4 goes to 3. Then what is the order of the sigma? Is nothing but LCM of length of these two. So length is nothing but these two. Length of this permutation is 2. So LCM is 2. Therefore, order is 2. Therefore, this is a permutation satisfy this condition sigma equal to sigma inverse. Now, what is another possible permutation? Suppose I am fixing 1, 3. Now, what we have to use? So, what is the remaining elements? 4, 2, 4. Again, these two permutation, this is a transposition, this is a transposition, both are distinct. Therefore, if you take tau equal to this, then order of tau is also 2. Because LCM, you take the LCM. So, therefore, now the permutation 1, 2 into 3, 4 is one of the permutation whose order is 2. And suppose if you fix 1, 3, then we have to take the remaining 2, 4. And then suppose if you fix 1, 4, then remaining things 2, 3. So these are all permutation whose order is 2. So if it's 6, 1, 5, now what is that? 2, 3. Now any other? Suppose instead of fixing 1, now fix 2. So don't fix 2, 1, because we know that 1, 2 is same as 2, 1. Okay, why? So what is the meaning of this 1, 2? 1 maps to 2, 2 maps to 1. So that is the meaning of this 1, 2. So what is the meaning of 2, 1? Again, 2 maps to 1. Yeah, that's why you're saying 2 maps to 1, 1 maps to 2. So therefore, 1, 2 same as 2, 1. Okay, therefore, don't write this 2, 1. Because 2, 1 is nothing but 1, 2. Then any other possible? So we need LCM is 2. Therefore, only possible is 2, 2. So if you take a length 2 permutation, another length 2 permutation, and these two permutations should be distinct, then we take the LCM. Now these are all possible permutation whose order is 2. And then now we have to include the identity element also satisfy the condition EA equal to sigma equal to sigma inverse. Now any other? So totally how many permutations satisfy that sigma square equal to identity? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now so far we get 15. So is anything repeated? So up to this is not a problem. So if you take a single transposition, so everything is different. Okay, up to this collection is not a problem. Now look at the remaining things. So again, these are all also different, right? Because 1 to here 1 maps to 2, but this is not 1 maps to. So I think all are different. So any other? If you miss anything? So suppose I start with I think I have 2. I cannot take 3 because already 2, 3 is there. I think, yeah. Any other possible? So, okay. So how many permutation we get? 50. So there are 50 permutation whose order is, who not order, but satisfying sigma equal to sigma inverse. So sigma equal to sigma means what? Satisfy the condition sigma square equal to identity. That means order of sigma divides 2. Therefore, what is the possible for order of sigma? Either 1 or 2. So we get order 1 is nothing but only the identity element. So next we have to find the number of permutation whose order is 2. So order 2 means what? The LCM, the length of the LCM should be 2. So if you take each permutation or each transposition, so transposition what? Length 2. So these are all transposition whose length is 2. Therefore, order is 2. And then if you take the product of 2 transposition, disjoint transposition, this order is also 2. Okay, so these are all thing whose therefore we get totally 15. If I miss anything, so please add. So just to carefully count that all possible product of 2 permutation, disjoint permutation. Okay, I think I write all the things. Okay, that is the answer. Okay. Now we solve the next problem. So this type of problem they regularly they will ask. Okay. Okay. Next, one more problem we will discuss. Yeah. Next, they ask what is the number of what is the dimension of symmetric matrix. So symmetric matrix means what? A equal to A transpose. Okay. So what is the dimension of? There is a formula is there. Then we have to find that formula. So what is the second question? Suppose V is the set of all symmetric matrix. Okay. 6 by 6 symmetric matrix. So second question. So let capital V be the vector space of all 6 by 6 real matrices. Okay, V is a set of all 6 by 6 real matrices over the field R real number over R real number. Then what is the dimension of the subspace? And we define the some subspace. This is a vector space, and the subspace is set of all symmetric matrices. Maybe I use the notation, let W be the subspace, be a subspace of set of all symmetric matrices. Set of all symmetric matrices subspace of V, and what is the dimension of the subspace? Okay, then question is what is the dimension? What is the dimension of W, not V? So dimension of V is nothing but 6 square. Okay, so dimension of set of all n by n matrix dimension is n square. So, but we have to find the dimension of the subspace. Okay, now it is clear. So solution, this is simple one. So how the matrix look like? So actually what is W? We are collecting the n by n matrix, set of all matrix, that is n by n matrix, should be symmetric. That means what? A should be equal to A transpose. But here instead of taking n, we take 6 by 6 matrix. Now, so if you take 6 by 6 matrix, there are 36 unknowns are there. If you take look at the matrix, there are 36 unknowns. So usually we call A11, A12, etc., A16, and A21, A22, etc., A26, and then the last row A61, A62, etc., A66. Therefore, 6 rows, 6 column. Therefore, totally we have a 36 unknowns. So using this condition, we have to remove some unknowns. Okay, since A equal to A transpose, so transpose means what? The column should be row. Okay, that is the meaning of A equal to A transpose. So therefore, if we take this row, should be a column of this one. Okay, therefore, no need this term. Therefore, just I am erasing this one because I'm going to replace, this is nothing but the first row. Because A equal to A transpose, therefore, this is nothing but this one. So therefore, or simply I am writing that the unknowns are only on the diagonal and then above the diagonal. So below the diagonals are repeated elements. So already we know that one. So therefore, if you take a 6 by 6 matrix, the first row we have 6 unknowns. But in the second row, we have 5 unknowns. Because if you take the diagonal entries, so if you take any row here, that should be a column. And if you take any number here, that should be a column of this one. If you take anything here, there should be a this column, right? So therefore, I am going to remove these columns. So these numbers. So what are the possible remaining unknowns? So the first row, we have 6 unknowns. The second row contains 5 unknowns. Third row contains 4 unknowns, and so on. The last row contains the diagonal elements only one. So this many unknowns there. Now what is the number of unknowns? You got to sum it. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus etc. plus 6. And this is nothing but 6 into 6 plus 1. 7 by 2. You can cancel this. This is 21. Therefore, this is the dimension of W is nothing but 21. In general, instead of giving 6 by 6 matrix, suppose they're giving asking what is the dimension of symmetric matrix of n by n matrix, then so what is the formula? So if you take consider n by n matrix, the first row n possible, second row have n minus 1 possible. Okay, suppose if you're considering n by n matrix but symmetric, therefore how many unknowns? So for the first row contains n unknowns, but the second row contains only n minus 1 unknowns. Okay, and so on. The last row contains only one unknown. Therefore, total number of unknowns is 1 plus 2 plus etc. plus n. So this is nothing but n into n plus 1 by 2. So this is the dimension of set of all symmetric matrix. So suppose if we take set of all skew symmetric matrix, then what is the dimension? Either you can use the rank nullity theorem, or again you got to find the dimension. So this is the dimension of symmetric matrix. So this is the dimension of n by n symmetric matrix. This is a formula, so you can easily find it. So, and then what is the dimension of skew symmetric matrix? So skew symmetric means what? A equal to minus A transpose. But already we know that given any matrix, we can write the sum of symmetric plus skew symmetric matrix. Okay, so this B is symmetric part, and then this C is skew symmetric part. Okay, anyway, we know this one. And there is no matrix which is both symmetric and skew symmetric except the zero matrix. Therefore, the number of unknowns is nothing but number of unknowns plus number of unknowns. Okay, otherwise dimension of these is nothing but dimension of these plus dimension of this. Okay, so therefore we need a dimension of C. C is nothing but set of all symmetric matrix. Assume that. Okay, or we call W2 or something. So W2 is nothing but set of all symmetric matrix. W1 is a set of all. Okay, maybe I can write that format. Okay, so V, the set of all n by n matrix, can be written as a direct sum of set of all symmetric matrix, direct sum, set of all skew symmetric matrix, W2. So what is the meaning of this direct sum? Is nothing but the W1 intersection W2 contains only 0 element. And then every element of V can be expressed a sum of one element from W1, another element from W2. So that is the meaning of direct sum. Now, what is the dimension W? Is nothing but dimension of W1 plus W2. So what is the dimension of W1 plus W2? Since it's not a usual sum, it's a direct sum. Therefore, intersection should be 0. Therefore, dimension of the intersection is 0. Therefore, directly simply we can write dimension of W1 plus dimension of W2. But in the original formula, we know that minus dimension of W1 intersection W2. But W1 intersection W2 is singleton 0. Therefore, dimension of singleton 0 is 0. Therefore, this term is 0. Now, what is the dimension of V is nothing but n square. Set of all n by n matrix dimension is n square. Okay. So, therefore, n square equal to, and W1 is nothing but set of all symmetric matrix. Just now we found that n into n plus 1 by 2. And we don't know value of this one. Therefore, keep that one dimension of W2. Now, take this term to that side. Therefore, dimension of W2 equal to n square minus n into n minus 1 by 2. Now, just cross multiply and then simplify these. So, denominator is 2n square, n into n square plus n. So, this is equal to 2n square minus n square is n square plus n. So, actually, sorry, this is actually plus 1, right? So, sorry. So, this is minus. So, we get this is minus. So therefore, n square minus n by 2. We can take n outside. We get n into n minus 1 by 2. So this is a dimension of set of all skew symmetric matrices. Okay. So this is also very important. Sometimes they will ask what is the dimension of skew symmetric matrix. So n into n minus 1 by 2 is the dimension. Okay. Now, next question. Any doubt in this you can answer. Okay. So next linear algebra question. Okay. So suppose T is a linear transformation. I think third question or fourth question something. Okay. Suppose T is a function from R3 to R3. R3 to R3 be a linear transformation. It is given. So with respect to standard basis, the matrix, so maybe what is the standard basics? E1, E2, E3, because it's a dimension is 3. So this is a standard basis. Now with respect to this basis, we know that every linear transformation can be represented as a matrix. So the matrix is given that 0, A, B, and then minus A, minus B, 0, C, minus C, 0. Okay, where A, B, C are real number, not all 0. So A, B, C are all non-zero real numbers. Now, what is the question is, then T is, then what about T? T is a 1, 1 or on 2, or what is the rank? This is a question. Okay, so options are, then T is, question is, then what can you say about the linear transformation T? Actually, look at the matrix actually. So this matrix is nothing but skew symmetric matrix. If you take, so this T equal to minus T transpose. Because if you take the transpose, you will get AB here, but it should be minus. Okay, therefore, this matrix is nothing but just a skew symmetric matrix. Okay, now what are the options? Then T, first option, T is 1, 1, is 1, 1, and then second option is on 2, is on 2, and then third one is C option is does not map any line through the origin onto itself anyway. So that is third option is does not map any line through origin. If you take any line through origin onto itself. Okay, the last option is as rank 1. Okay, now what can you say about this linear transformation? So here A, B, C are non-zero real numbers. Okay, so we can easily check that what is the rank. So what is the determinant of this matrix? So just to find the determinant of this matrix, you can, if determinant is non-zero, then rank is 3. Okay, so what is the determinant of this? Anyway, if you fix 0, we'll get 0. So minus A times 0 times minus 0, therefore minus B, BC. Okay, and then minus okay, plus B times the last row A into C, AC. So what you'll get? ABC, we get 0. So determinant is 0, therefore rank not equal to 3. Therefore, maybe a rank as 1 is no, because so rank 1 means what? All 2 by 2 submatrix determinant should be 0. So given matrix 3 by 3, the determinant is 0. Therefore, rank cannot be 3. Next, we have to take, if we take any 2 by 2 submatrix, all the 2 by 2 submatrix is 0, determinant is 0, then rank not equal to 2. And then we have to do 1 by 1 matrix. But we can take this 2 by 2. Okay. What is the determinant of this 2 by 2 matrix? C square. But we know that C square is non-zero number. Because C is non-zero number, therefore C square should be non-zero. Okay, got it? So, you got it or not? So, we have at least one 2 by 2 submatrix whose determinant is non-zero. Therefore, rank is 2. Therefore, rank cannot be 1. Rank should be 2. Okay, so that is a important thing. So therefore, the last option is violated. Okay, now since rank is 2, therefore cannot be on 2. On 2 means rank be dimension is not on 2. Therefore, so by rank nullity theorem, by applying the rank nullity theorem to this function, what you'll get rank plus nullity equal to dimension. So dimension of the domain is 3, rank of T plus nullity of T. And just now we found that rank is 2. Therefore, nullity should be 1. Since nullity contains at least 1 element, therefore it's not 1. Because 1, 1 means what? Nullity should be 0. Nullity is 0 if only if is 1, 1. Here nullity is 1. Therefore, it cannot be 1, 1. Now look at the third option. This map does not map
Sir,
any
why
line.
is it not on to, sir?
Because rank is 2. So when we say a function is on 2, the rank of the function should be the domain of, dimension of the codomain. Because dimension of range is the dimension, right? Sorry, rank. So this range
Yes,
of,
sir.
so okay, it's not on 2. On 2 means rank should be 3. Rank should be the dimension of the codomain, but codomain dimension is 3, but rank is 2. Therefore, it's not onto. Now, therefore, it's not onto. Therefore, not 1 1 as rank is 2. Now, look at the third option. What is the meaning that if you take any line passing through origin, is always does not maps to any line maps through origin onto itself. So, if you take any line, if you take a line equation, okay, passing through origin, and apply this map, again is not mapped to itself. Okay, so if you take what is the line equation in R3, so line equation, so at least one coordinate should be 0, right? So if you take ax plus by plus cz equal to 0, then this is a plane passing through origin, right? Suppose if you take only 2 variable, then is a line passing through origin. Got it? So therefore, if you take any point, so maybe I am taking, suppose take a value equal to 1, b value equal to 1, suppose I am taking c value. Okay, now apply this matrix. So 0, a, b, minus a, minus b, 0, c, minus c, 0. So what is the product? So should be a plus b, and this should be minus a minus c, sorry, plus c, and this one is minus b. Okay, now don't confuse with this a and b. Okay, so anyway, now look at this one. So we know that a, b, c are non-zero number. Therefore, here b is non-zero. Therefore, the last position should be non-zero. Therefore, this is not equal to this one. Don't bother about these two terms. I am taking this line. Therefore, the image should be 0. But the image does not contain, that means the image, the third position is non-zero. Therefore, if you take any line pass through origin, not mapped to the same line, it maps to something, some other point. Got it or not? Suppose this is R3. Okay, suppose I am considering a line on the XY plane. That is, the Z position should be 0. Okay, so suppose I am considering this is our point line. Suppose I am considering 1 point on the line. So I am taking this point 1 1 0. Okay, suppose 1 1 0 is here. This is a 1 1 0. Now just I am apply the transformation to this point. So it maps somewhere, not on the line again. Okay, so therefore this, if you consider this is a one subset. Okay, so this line is also a subset. Maybe we call the L. So L is a subset of W. So L is a subset of R3. Now what is this T of L is not equal to L. That is, are not contained in L. So it's somewhere. Therefore, it's not onto. So any line, any point on the line passing through origin not mapped to the line passing through the origin. The same line. Okay, because I'm talking about here onto. So therefore, if you consider a line that is a XY plane or XY lane, that is the last position 0. If I apply this matrix, the last position is non-zero. Therefore, it's not on to map from line passing through origin to line passing through origin. Otherwise, if you take some other point, suppose instead of taking Z value 0, suppose I am considering Y value 0. Suppose I am considering line. So line means what? At least one position should be 0. Got it? So therefore, I am picking the second coordinate 0. Now, what is the product? So we need the product should be the second coordinate 0. But you will get the second coordinate is non-zero. So what is the product? You will get 0, B, and then minus A plus C, and then this is minus B. So you will get a non-zero number. Again. Got it? Okay, did any mistake? Yeah, I think, yeah, sometimes, no. Yeah, correct. So answer is does not map. Yeah. So this is the correct answer. So any doubt in this question? Anyway, we can omit all the options. Therefore, this C is the only option. Therefore, we can choose better, but you should know why this answer is true. Okay, because if you take any line passing through origin, does not map onto the same line. It maps somewhere. So therefore, is the answer. So any doubt, you just ask. Now we look into the other thing, other question. Okay, good. This is one more question, linear algebra. So we have to relate all the things. Okay, what are the information you know about the given information you have to recall. So the next question. So the fourth question. So simply directly writing. Suppose T is a linear transformation from R4 to R4. R4 to R4 be a linear transformation. And this T satisfying the condition that T cube plus 3T square equal to 4 times I, where I is the identity map. Then what can you say about this example? Then the linear transformation S equal to, I define new linear transformation S is nothing but T power 4 plus 3 times T cube minus 4 times I is. So first option 1 1 but not on 2. So the second option 1 1 on 2 but not 1 to 1. And then the third option is invertible, that is both 1 1 and R2, that is invertible. And then not invertible. Okay. So this is a question. Now, not invertible means what? The inverse does not exist. That is, the determinant of the matrix is 0. Okay. So invertibility means what? Because the linear transformation can be viewed as a matrix. Any linear transformation from finite dimensional vector space to finite dimensional vector space can be viewed as a matrix. Then therefore T can be viewed as a matrix. This S also can be viewed as a matrix because T are all mapped. Therefore T power 4, T cube, these are all matrix. Therefore sum of these again S is also matrix. Now this X determinant of S is non-zero, then it is invertible. And if it is 0, then it is not invertible. Now, how to check this one? So since T satisfied this equation, but what is the, if you take the characteristic polynomial of T, the degree should be 4. Okay, because it's a 4 by 4 matrix. If you consider T, this T is actually nothing but it's a 4 by 4 matrix, because domain and codomain have dimension 4. It's a 4 by 4 matrix. Therefore, the characteristic polynomial of this should be, degree should be 4. Degree of the characteristic polynomial of T is 4. But T satisfied this polynomial. What is the polynomial T satisfied? X cube plus 3x square minus 4. Suppose I call M of X. So T satisfies this polynomial, but the degree of the characteristic polynomial is 4. Therefore, what can you say about this one? It's annihilating polynomial. So T satisfies this polynomial. Okay. Therefore, what is the root of this polynomial? Actually, if you take x equal to 1, is a root. Okay. Otherwise, if you take in terms of lambda, so lambda cube 3 times lambda square minus 4, this is a m of lambda. So therefore, lambda equal to 1 is a root. Is a root of this polynomial m of lambda. Okay. Okay. Now, what about S? Now, this can be we can plus t square 4. T out of, therefore we get t cube plus 3 t square. Yes, 4. Is t cube plus 3 t square is 4, right? That's a given. So t cube plus 3 t square is nothing but 4i. Therefore, if you apply here 4 into I t into something but therefore we get 4t because I is nothing but identity. Therefore we get therefore 4i. So anyway, you can take 4 outside anyway. So if you take 4 outside, we get t minus I. So that means what? Lambda equal to 1. Therefore, this S is transformation is nothing but just 4 times t minus I. This is a linear transformation. Okay, now if it substitute t equal to 1 or lambda equal to 1 is the, if substitute t equal to 1 or look at this polynomial x minus 1. So x minus 1 or 4 times x minus 1. Don't bother about this one. If you take this polynomial, so this polynomial satisfied by s. Okay, therefore root, what is the root? Lambda equal to 1. So that means what? Lambda is a root of eigen, lambda equal to, so sorry, I can try. So maybe this we can conclude it. So therefore, what is t? So from this we can say that lambda equal to 1. That is lambda yes. Okay, we know that t minus I, the determinant of this should be 0 because already we know that lambda equal to 1 is a root. We get lambda equal to 1 is a root eigenvalue of this one. Therefore, s minus I, determinant of s minus lambda I. Okay, better. They remove this. So I am going to show that 0 is an eigenvalue for s. Since 0 is an eigenvalue, the determinant is the product of the eigenvalues. If you know 1, the product is 0, therefore determinant is 0. 1 is 0 is not invertible. I'm going to show the function, the linear transformation S is not invertible. That means what? Determinant of S should be 0. It is enough to one eigenvalue of S should be 0. Okay. Good. Now, just now we proved that S is 4 are better than t minus 4. Now we want to we need eigenvalues of this one. We know that t has a lambda equal to 1 value. This is the root polynomial. Lambda equal to 1 is an eigenvalue for t. So we know one eigenvalue. Okay, so 1 is an eigenvalue of t. So 1 is an eigenvalue of t, then what is the eigenvalue of 4t? Just to multiply 4. Therefore, 4 is an eigenvalue of 4t. Now, what is the, we know the eigenvalues of identity matrix 1, 1, 1. So, what is the eigenvalues of 4i? 4, 4, 4. Just you got to subtract. So, therefore, we take only one eigenvalue. The 4t have eigenvalue, one eigenvalue is 4, and then the minus 4i, the one eigenvalue should be minus 4. Therefore, you have to sum these two, we get 0 is a one of the eigenvalue for the linear transformation S. Since therefore 0 is an eigenvalue of the linear transformation S. Since product of the eigenvalues is nothing but determinant, therefore the determinant of S we can view it as a matrix. Therefore, either you can put the square bracket. So that means what? This linear transformation can be viewed as a matrix. This is a matrix notation. So this should be 0. So since determinant is non-zero, so determinant is 0, therefore S is not invertible. So any doubt? So actually the given S one eigenvalue. We know lambda equal to 1 is eigenvalue for t. Therefore, eigenvalue for 4t is nothing but 4 is an eigenvalue. 4 1 eigenvalue. Therefore, just 0 is one of the eigenvalue of S. We don't bother about the other eigenvalues, because I am going to show that 0 is the one of the eigenvalue. So got it?
Sir, how did we get 0, sir?
Yeah, because already I said that. So if there are two matrices, okay, A is a one matrix, and then the eigenvalues are lambda and mu. Okay, B is another matrix. Suppose it has an eigenvalue some other, maybe suppose T and S. St is the eigenvalue. Then the eigenvalues of A plus B, okay, should be lambda plus T, and then mu plus S. We have to sum, but only when we have to satisfy the condition that AB equal to BA. If two matrices are satisfy the commutative property, so actually for this is true for identity matrix and then T. Suppose AB equal to BA, then the eigenvalues of A plus B nothing but just you have to sum the corresponding eigenvalues. But it holds always for if we take one matrix is T and then another one is identity matrix, then this is always true. Okay, but in general this is not true. But if you take one matrix is identity matrix, and if you take one, so simply I'm saying, suppose A is a one matrix whose eigenvalues are lambda and mu, and B is an identity matrix. Okay, suppose I'm taking one matrix is any matrix whose eigenvalue is lambda and mu. Suppose I'm taking 2 by 2 identity matrix whose eigenvalues we know that 1 1. Now the eigenvalues of I plus A is nothing but just add 1 plus mu, and then another eigenvalue is 1 plus mu. 1 plus lambda and 1 plus mu is the eigenvalues of I plus A. Suppose if you want to know eigenvalues of I plus A square, first you have to find the eigenvalues of A square. So what is the eigenvalues of A square? Lambda square, mu square. Therefore, the eigenvalues of I plus A square is 1 plus lambda square, 1 plus mu square. That is the idea. Now, we have a 2, S can be written as 4t minus 4i. Since T is a 4 by 4 matrix, I is a 4 by 4 matrix. Therefore, the eigenvalues of T are, we don't know exactly all the eigenvalues, but I know that 1 is one of the eigenvalue. We don't bother about the other 3 eigenvalues. Why 1 is an eigenvalue? Because if substitute T equal to 1 is satisfied. If substitute T equal to 1 is satisfied, therefore T equal to lambda equal to 1 is the one of the eigenvalue for T. Therefore, but we don't know other eigenvalue. Got it? Therefore, now I take the eigenvalues of T are 1. We don't know the other three eigenvalues. Suppose I take star, star, star. Star may be anything. I know one eigenvalue is 1. Okay. Now, what is the eigenvalues of 4t? Just you got to multiply 4 to the each eigenvalue. Therefore, 4 comma. Again, we take star, star, star. Okay, got it? Now, what is the eigenvalue for 4 times identity matrix? So, identity matrix eigenvalues are 1, 1, 1. The eigenvalues of 4 is nothing, but we have to multiply 4, 4, 4. We know all the eigenvalues of identity matrix. Therefore, I can write 4, 4, 4. Now, we need eigenvalues of minus 4 times I. Just you got to multiply minus to the each eigenvalue. Now, we need the sum of these two, because 4t plus 4 minus 4 is the sum. So, therefore, you got to, using this result, you got to add term by term. So, 4 minus 4, we get 0. So, 0 is the one of the eigenvalue. And don't bother about this star plus this star plus this. Okay. So, again, I take some star. Anyway, I get 0 is the one of the eigenvalue. Therefore, 0 is the one of the eigenvalue for S. S is nothing but 4t minus 4i. Therefore, 0 is the one of the eigenvalue. Therefore, the determinant of S is 0. Therefore, S is not invertible. Got it? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, the next one more problem from group theory. In Z60, how many subgroups are there? Okay, in Z suffix 60. So, I think fifth problem or fourth problem. The number of all subgroup. The number of all subgroups of the group Z60 This is a group with respect to addition modulo 60. Is okay, how many subgroups are there? So actually Z60 is a cyclic group. In general, Zn is a cyclic group. In a cyclic group, if take any divisor of order of the group, it has a unique subgroup. So therefore, in this problem, the number of subgroup is nothing but number of divisor of 60. So how to find the number of divisors of 60? First, we have to write 60 as a product of prime powers and then add 1 to all the powers and then take the product. So 60 can be written as 2, anyway 6 is nothing but 2 into 3 and then 10, 2 into 5. Therefore, 2 square into 3 into 5, correct? Now, 60 can be written as product of prime powers. Therefore, what is the number of divisors is? You got to add 1 to this power. Therefore, 3 into the power is 1. Therefore, add 1. Therefore, we get 2. And then the power is 1. Add 1. We get 2. Therefore, 12. So, there are 12 subgroups. So, there are 12 divisors. Therefore, there are 12 subgroups, including the trivial identity group and then the whole group. This is also subgroup. So, sorry, 60. So, the trivial groups are also subgroups. So, we have to count this also. Because 1 is also a divisor, 60 also a divisor, right? Therefore, we have to include this also. Therefore, the number of subgroups of a Z60 is 12. So, if you take any cyclic group, the number of subgroups of a cyclic group is nothing but the number of divisors of order of the group. In suppose given that some other general group, suppose they given that G is a group, not only group, suppose given that cyclic group. The result true for only cyclic group, not for all the groups. Suppose G is a cyclic group of order n, then we know the theorem G is isomorphic to just nothing but Zn. Now finding the number of subgroups of G is nothing but finding the number of subgroups of Zn. And we know that the number of subgroups of Zn is nothing but number of divisors. Number of divisors of n is nothing but number of subgroups. Okay. Any doubt? Therefore, we have a 12 subgroup in Z60. So this is true only for cyclic groups. In a cyclic group, for each divisor, it has a unique subgroup. That is very important. Some other groups for each divisor sometimes will get more than one subgroup for same order. But in a cyclic group, for each divisor, we have a unique subgroup in that order. Okay. Now, the next problem. Again, suppose G is a finite group and H is a normal subgroup of order 2, that the order of center, okay, that is a very important result. If you know the result, you know the answer. So what is the result? Any normal sub, so maybe I write the result here. Any normal subgroup H of order 2. Suppose you have some normal subgroup whose order is H, then the subgroup should contained in Z of G. Then H is a subset of the center of the group. If you take any normal subgroup of a group of order 2, it's very important, order 2, then the H should be a subgroup of Z of G. That is, H is a subset of Z of G. Now the question is, what is the question? Maybe 6th question or something. Again, they given that G be a finite group. G is a finite group. And H is a normal subgroup. H is normal subgroup. And the order of H is 2. Then, question is the order of center. Then, the order of center of G is. By the result, H is a subgroup of Z of G. Subset of Z of G, but itself is a subgroup, therefore it's a subgroup. Anyway, this is a subgroup of G. So the options are, first option 0 is the order, B 1, C an even number. An even number, even integer which is greater than or equal to 2, and then the last option is a odd number. The center of G is always odd, or center of G is always even, or the order of the center is 1 or 0. This is an odd number which is greater than or equal to 3. Now here we have to use the Lagrange's theorem. So since H is a subgroup, so if you take any normal subgroup of order 2, by result we know that this H should contained in Z of G. Therefore, Z of G contains at least 2 elements, because H contains 2 elements. Every element of H is an element of Z of G. Therefore, Z of G contains at least 2 elements. Therefore, the first 2 options are not true, because H is contained in Z of G. H contains 2 elements. Okay, now what about since H is a subgroup, since H is a subset of Z of G, and H is a subgroup, Z of G is also subgroup, but H is a subset of Z of G, therefore H can be viewed as a subgroup of Z of G. Therefore, by Lagrange's theorem, order of H divides order of Z of G. So order of Z of H divides order of Z of G means what? Order of Z of G is a multiple of some k times multiple of the order of H. But the order of H is a value 2, therefore 2 times k. Therefore, it's an even number. So order of Z of G is an even number. Therefore, correct answer is C. Because every subgroup divides order of the subgroup divides order of the group, right? Since H is a subgroup of Z of G, then order of H divides order of G. Since order of H is 2, therefore Z of G order should be even. So you should know the result. This is a very important result. If you take any normal subgroup, so normal is very important, and then order 2 is very important. If you take any normal subgroup whose order is 2, the subgroup always contained in the center of the group. Okay. Okay. So the next problem. Yeah, again some other question. Yeah, it's also very interesting. Like the first problem, very beginning we solved one number of elements satisfy the relation sigma equal to sigma inverse. It's like same problem. So I think 8 or 7. So let G be an abelian group. Let G be an abelian group of order 10. Abelian group of order 10. Now let S equal to new set. They define S equal to collection of all elements G. What is the condition satisfied? G should be equal to G inverse. So we are collecting the elements whose inverse is itself. Then the number of non-identity element in S. Then the number of non-identity element, because identity element always satisfied, E equal to E inverse always satisfied. But this S contains identity element, but except identity element, what are the other elements? What is the number of elements? So non-identity elements in S. How many elements satisfy the condition G equal to G inverse? So G equal to G inverse means what? Just to multiply G both sides, we get G square equal to identity. Okay, so that means what? We are finding the number of elements whose order is 2. That is very important. Okay, so the options are, first option 5, second option is 2, third option is 1, last option is 0. Okay. Now, so how to solve this one? So, so we have to, so given that we have to find a G satisfying G equal to G inverse. So that is what we have to find. So just to multiply both sides by G, we get G square equal to identity. So G square equal to identity means what? Order of G should divide 2. Therefore, what is the possible order? Either 1 or 2. So when we'll get 1, only when G should be identity, but we don't want about the non-identity element. Therefore, we have to take order of G equal to 2. So therefore, we have to find the number of elements of order 2. So our aim is find the number of elements of order 2. So how to find that one? So you have to apply the Sylow's theorem. So given that the order of the group is 10, 10 can be written as 2 into 5. Therefore, we can find the number of 2-sided subgroup. We can find the number of 5-sided subgroup there because there are 2 primes are there. Now, first we got to find the number of 5-sided subgroup. So how many 5-sided subgroup are there? Is of the form 1 plus 5k. There are this many 5-sided subgroups are there. We don't know the values of k. We have to find the values of k. How to find? We know that this number 1 plus 5k divides order of the group. So what is the order of the group? Is 10. Okay. Now, there is a result, one more result in number theory. What is that? Suppose a number A divides the product of two number BC and the GCD of A and one of the number, maybe suppose I take B, suppose the GCD is 1, then implies that A should divide the remaining number. Okay. So this 10 can be written as 2 into 5. Now what is the GCD of 1 plus 5k into 5 is always 1 because 5 is a multiple of 5, but this number is not a multiple of 5. Therefore, GCD of 1 plus 5k and then 5 is 1. Therefore, by this result, just this 1 plus 5k should divide 2. Therefore, since 1 plus 5k is a divisor of 2, therefore, what is the possible value for 1 plus 5k? Either 1 or 2. Because it's a divisor of 2, therefore, only possible is either 1 or 2. So, when we'll get 2, for what values of k, you will get 2. So k should be non-negative. You can put either k equal to 0 or k equal to 1, k equal to anything. If substitute k equal to 0, you will get 1. But if substitute k equal to 1, you get 6. You never get 2. Therefore, we get only one 5-sided subgroup. Okay, now we found that number of 5-sided subgroup is 1. So we call that subgroup is H. And then what is the order of that one? So H is the only one 5-sided subgroup. And then order should be 5 powers, the maximum power of the order of the group. So the maximum power of 5 in the group is 1. Therefore, just 5. Therefore, this H contains 5 elements. But the group contains 10 elements. Now we found that 5 elements are there in the H. Therefore, remaining 5 elements are there. Okay, now we got to find the number of 2-sided subgroup. So how many 2-sided subgroups are there? One is of the form 1 plus 2k. This many 2-sided subgroups are there. But what is the theorem says? This divides the group order. Again, the group order 10 can be written 2 into 5. Now again, the GCD of 1 plus 2k and then 2 is 1. Therefore, by theorem, the number 1 plus 2 divides the remaining number 5. So since 1 plus 5k divides 5, 5 is a prime number. Therefore, what is the possible? 1 and 5. Therefore, this 1 plus 5k, 1 plus 2k, either 1 or 5. So if substitute k equal to 0, you will get 1. If substitute k equal to 2, you will get 5. Therefore, either only one 2-sided subgroup or 5-sided subgroup. 5 2-sided subgroup. But if you take only one 2-sided subgroup, you will not get the all values of all number. Suppose assume that we have only one 2-sided subgroup, we call it is k. And then what is the cardinality of this one is 2 power the maximum power, but maximum power is 1. Therefore, this k contains only 2 elements. So namely we call, since k is a subgroup, therefore it should contain identity element. And then one more element, maybe we take a. Now, therefore, here we have 2 elements. Actually, we have to take only 1 element because already we count identity element in H. Because H is also a subgroup. It contains identity element. So, therefore, we have only 6 elements. Already we have 5 elements here. Now, we produce one more elements A. So, we got only 6 elements. But the group contains 10 elements. Therefore, if you take only one 2-sided subgroup, you will not get entire group. Therefore, we have a 5 2-sided subgroup. Namely, we call K1 is a 1 2-sided subgroup. K2, K3, K4, K5. There are 5 2-sided subgroup. Since it's a 2-sided subgroup, everything order should be 2. Therefore, since K1 is a subgroup, therefore it contains identity element and some other non-identity element. Suppose I call A1. And this K2 is a 2-sided subgroup, order is 2. And since it's a subgroup, therefore it contains identity element. Some other non-identity element, suppose I take A2. Similarly, for K3 also contains identity, some other element A3. This K4 also contains identity element and then some other element A4. This K4 also contains identity element, some other element. Suppose I take this one. So therefore, order of this should be 2. Order of A1 is 2. Order of A2 is 2. Order of A3 is 2. This also every element, every non-identity element is order 2. Okay, so here how many non-identity elements we get? 1, 2, 3, 5. So already we found that 5 elements are there in H. Now we find that extra 5 elements. Therefore, 5 plus 5 is 10. So totally we tally the group order. So now we list all the 10 elements. 5 elements are there in the 5-cell subgroup. Remaining 5 elements are there in the 2-cell subgroup. Therefore, now in the 2-cell subgroup, how many elements of order 2? A1 order 2, A2 order is 2, etc. Therefore, we have 5 elements whose order is 2. Therefore, answer is 5. The first one. Got it? So this type of problem, you have to apply Seilo's theorem. You have to find that number of depending upon group. So suppose the group contains, the order contains 2 primes. So in this problem, the group contains 2 prime, namely 2 and 5. Therefore, you have to find a 2-cell subgroup, 5-cell subgroup. And then you have to case by case we have to check either 1-cell subgroup are possible or 5-cell subgroup are possible. You have to check. Okay, so this is the idea. Any doubt in this? So this type of problem they will ask. So Seilo's theorem is very important. The number of p-cell subgroup, finding the number of 2-cell subgroup or 5-cell subgroup is very important. Okay. So the next problem. Already we found that rank of the matrix. Okay. And quickly we solve that problem. They give some 3x3 matrix. They asking what is the rank. So the 9th problem or something. Suppose I take A equal to, I think already we solved or not, 1, 4, 8, 2, 10, 22, 0, 4, 12. So what is the rank? Rank of the matrix. So what is the rank? It's 3. 3 or 2 or 1 or 0. So find the determinant. First you got to find the determinant, or you can row reduce this into row reduced echelon form and then find the number of non-zero rows. You can do anything. Suppose I apply the row reduced echelon form. I want to make this entry 0. Therefore, I fix the first row is 1, 4, 8. So better you find the determinant. So that is the easy thing. Otherwise, suppose the matrix is bigger matrix, then we can apply a row reduced echelon form. So if the determinant is 0, then rank is not equal to 3. Okay. So what is the determinant of A? Is if expanding the via the first column, because the first column contains some 0, therefore I am expanding the first via the first column. So 1 into 10 into 12 is 120, minus 4 into 22 is 88, minus 2 times 4 into 12 is 48, and then 4 into 8, 32, and then 0 into something 0. Okay, so now simplify this. So 120 minus 88 is how much? 32. X 32 minus 2 times 48 minus 32, 16. 16 2 into therefore we get 32 minus 32, we get 0. Since the determinant of the matrix 0, therefore rank is not equal to 3. So then how to sorry, rank is 2. Rank is 2 means what? You have to find at least one 2x2 submatrix whose determinant is non-zero, then rank is 2. Now if we take any 2x2 matrix, suppose I am taking this 2x2 matrix, submatrix. Now what is the determinant? 10 minus 8. Anyway, we get 2. It's non-zero number. Therefore, at least one 2x2 submatrix whose determinant is non-zero. Therefore, rank is 2. Therefore, rank of the matrix is 2. So another way of saying rank. Okay. Okay. The next question.
Sir, the determinant is not 0 then?
If determinant non-zero, the rank is 3.
The rank is 3.
Yeah, 3 by 3 matrix rank determinant non-zero, the rank is 3.
For any square matrix. Huh?
Yeah, if you take any n by n matrix, the determinant is non-zero, then rank is n. If determinant 0, the rank may be anything but not equal to n. Maybe n minus 1 or n minus 2 or anything. If determinant is 0. If determinant non-zero, then the rank is nothing but order of the matrix. If it is n by n matrix, the rank is n. Okay. Now, one more problem from linear algebra. 10th problem something. Okay, anyway, write that. Suppose we have a linear transformation T from R3 to R3. Defined by T of, if you take any ordered triple x1, x2, x3 is maps to, again ordered triple defined, x1 minus x2 is the first position, comma, again I am taking x1 minus x2 is again is the second position, and then the third position is 0. So I never use x3. Okay, x1 minus x2, 0. Now we are the standard notation, if n of t is the null space and then r of t is the range space. Okay, now what is the dimension? So this denote null space, otherwise kernel, null space and range space respectively. Okay, n of t means nothing, set of all vectors takes 0 and the r of t is a range space. Now options are, so the first option, dimension of n of t is 2. And then the second option, dimension of r of t is 2. The third option, r of t equal to n of t. The fourth option, n of t is a subset of r of t. So first you find the n of t. So what is n of t? Set of all vectors maps to 0. So that is n of t. So n of t is nothing but set of all ordered triple x1, x2, x3 such that t of this x1, x2, x3 is 0, 0, 0. Now this is equal to set of all x1, x2, x3 such that what is t of x1, x2, x3 is nothing but x1 minus x2, x1 minus x2, 0 equal to 0, 0, 0. Now these three tuples are equal, then corresponding coordinates are equal. Therefore, x1 minus x2 equal to 0. Therefore, we get x1 equal to x2. We get only one equation. Therefore, replace, there are three unknowns, x1, x2, x3. Therefore, we have a relation between x1 and x2. Therefore, this is equal to set of all x1, instead of x2, we write again x1. There is no condition on x3. Therefore, you have to keep x3. So such that x1, x3. Now we have only two unknowns. Therefore, how many unknowns? We have two unknowns. Therefore, dimension of n of t is 2. Therefore, we get a first option. Since we apply the rank nullity theorem, what is the rank of r of t? Dimension should be 1 because domain dimension is 3, nullity is 2. Therefore, rank of t, that is dimension of r of t, should be 1. Therefore, this option is wrong. Since the dimensions are different, therefore, it cannot be equal. And since the dimension of this is 2 and the dimension of this is 1, therefore, is never subset of this one. Okay. Therefore, a dimension of n of t is 2. Just to find the number of unknowns. So always you find the null of n of t. From this, you can find the rank of t, applying a rank nullity theorem. Okay. Okay, now another question. Suppose rank of AB is 1, then what about rank of BA? So that is a question. So 11 or something. So what is the question? Suppose A, B are 3 by 3 matrix. A and B are 3 by 3 matrix. Okay. 3 by 3 real matrix. The entries are real number. And rank of AB, the product, rank of AB is 1. Then the rank of BA, rank of B times A cannot be what? First option. Options are 0, 1, 2, 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So what is it? The rank of BA cannot be what? So A is a 3 by 3 matrix. B is also 3 by 3 matrix. Therefore, the AB also 3 by 3 matrix. BA also 3 by 3 matrix. Then cannot be what? Suppose I am saying that there cannot be 3. Why? Suppose rank of AB as a rank of BA is 3. So when we'll get a rank of BA is 3, since B is a 3 by 3 matrix, A is also 3 by 3 matrix, the product also 3 by 3 matrix, the rank is 3 implies that determinant should be non-zero. Determinant of BA should be non-zero. This is if and only if. If rank of the 3 by 3 matrix 3, then the determinant should be non-zero. If determinant is non-zero, the rank should be the order of the matrix. Since therefore determinant of BA should be non-zero. And we know that determinant of AB is same as determinant of BA. AB and then BA determinant both are same. And it should be non-zero. So again, AB is also a 3 by 3 matrix whose determinant is non-zero. Therefore, implies that rank of AB should be 3. But it's given that rank of AB is 1. Therefore, this is not possible. So therefore, this is the correct answer. Cannot be 3. The rank of BA cannot be 3. That is the answer. Any doubt in this? This result is very important. So if determinant is non-zero, the rank is full rank. That is 3 by 3 rank. And then apply the determinant of BA is nothing but determinant of AB. Both are same value. You'll get the answer. Okay. Now, any other doubt? Okay, we solved other problems. Okay, we solve other problems in the next class. Okay. Thank you.